Shane Van Gisbergen fans, I got good news for you. Next week, in just 6 days now, it's a road course. Right turns will be made, so SVG, there you go. I know you guys have been killing. You've been waiting a long time for him to have a chance at winning once again on a road course. Well, next week is your week. But before that, we have to talk about Michigan, the most recent race in the NASCAR Cup Series. SVG got another top 20. Remember, it was a really rough start to the year with a bunch of 30s, back half of the 20s, some wrecks, some mistakes, some penalties. Disastrous start to the year. They've started to pick it up. They have started to figure it out a little bit more, and the results have been coming. The 14th at Charlotte, the 20th at Kansas, 22nd at Texas, 20th at Darlington, and now here he is with another top 20 and 18th place at Michigan. Michigan, if you read the tweet here, decent weekend with another top 20 in the safety culture Chevy, which, by the way, he will be using safety culture once again at Mexico. Wild track, average speed on the qualifying lap was 312 kilometers an hour. I don't know how many miles an hour that is, but it's fast. Emojis. Looking forward to some right-handers next week. As I said, Mexico. So, Michigan. This is a big deal for the manufacturers. Michigan is close to Detroit, the Motor City, where GM, Ford, other big auto manufacturers in the United States are based. So this is a huge deal for the manufacturers. It's a 2-mile track, which is equivalent to 3.22 kilometers. It is a super fast track. As SVG said here, 312 kilometers an hour. That's really fast. Well, just wait till I tell you about the track record. Back in 2014, Jeff Gordon set the track record for a NASCAR car. Average speed of the qualifying lap, of the pole lap, was 206.558 miles per hour, which is equivalent to 332.423 kilometers an hour. Yeah, man. Gordon would go on to win that race. But yeah, Michigan is an extremely fast track, D-shaped oval, banking on the majority of the track. Like, it's a super, like this, when people talk about fast tracks, this is the fastest track. So Michigan, it's a cool track. Really fast. We had a fantastic race, by the way, yesterday. I highly encourage you, if you have not, go watch the race highlights from yesterday. Fantastic race yesterday, in my opinion. Anyways, let's get on to the SVG recap. So, just like Kansas, starts off the weekend with a flat tire during practice. We've seen this a few times this year where crew chiefs teams will push the issue in terms of the tire pressure. Goodyear, the tire manufacturer, they give the teams an estimated kind of tire air pressure to have in the tire. They give you a range and they'll say, all right, don't go too low, like don't go below this number. Well, sometimes those teams see that number and they're like, we're going to go a little bit lower and see what happens. This is what happens. We saw it throughout the weekend with a few drivers, SVG, Tyler Reddick, Ryan Blaney during practice. During the race, we saw it with Todd Gilliland and Austin Cindric, Carson Hocevar. So this was not an 88 specific thing. It was a theme throughout the weekend when teams would push the limit. He ended up qualifying 26th, which you may see that number if you're an SVG fan. You may not be happy with that, but if we come over here to his statistics on the season, clicking here, it's going to, oh, please, internet, don't crash out right now. Oh, thank goodness. 26th is one of his better oval starting spots. We see a 28th at Vegas earlier this year, 29th at Phoenix, but we see a lot of 30s in here. In fact, he had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 race streak in the 30s. But look at the last two, 23rd at Nashville, 26th at Michigan. The qualifying, it's not shooting out of a cannon now, but it is improving. And that is the goal for Shane Van Gisbergen. Opening stint of the race, first 14 or so laps, he had said that he was loose. He was on the edge in terms of where the car was. Ran just 26th, 27th the entire stage, like those two positions. And then he made up one spot at the end and ends up finishing 25th. I mean, really uneventful first stage. Not much to report on there. Now we get to something fun. Fuel saving. We talked about this at the super speedways where they'll run like 70% throttle and they won't go flat out, and that annoys some fans. But at Michigan, you're still going full speed. You're still driving the car. It's not a super speedway where you're flooring it the whole lap, but you're going really fast. But fuel saving is a big deal here. Michigan has been known over the years for having fuel mileage races. If you look up Michigan highlights, you're bound to find a few fuel mileage races. So that was the story actually at the end of the race on Sunday for the leaders, but it's a story for everyone throughout the field. Everyone's saving fuel. Everyone's pushing the limit on it. So the instant a caution comes out, the stage ends, you're turning off the engine, you're coasting, you're doing whatever you do to save fuel. That's the name of the game at Michigan. So every time caution comes out, hey, caution's out, save fuel, save fuel. That's the name of the game. So it's a really big deal to save fuel at Michigan. The 99 car, obviously Shane Van Gisbergen's teammate Daniel Suarez, they had a left front tire problem and they had to pit in the middle of this very short stage one, only 45 laps. Well, SVG right at the end of the stage had said he had a little bit of a vibration, but of course they ended up not having any problems with it because that was right at the end of the stage. They were able to pit, but it was notable that their teammate had a problem. They were able to analyze it, study it, figure out whatever that problem was. They pit, they restart 21st in stage 2. They got up into 18th. The restarts are crazy at Michigan. Michigan, as I said, it's a big track and it's a fast track. So kind of like the Indy 500, you got the draft. You can really get a run on someone when you're running in a straight line and you can kind of slingshot around them. Well, in NASCAR, we see a lot of side drafting. When two cars are like running side by side, they're pulling each other back. They're kind of pulling the driver in front to them so they can make a pass. But when two drivers are screwing around and slowing each other down, we'll see the car way back here all by himself. He'll be drafting, gaining speed as these two are pulling speed off of another, and they'll be able to slingshot past them both. So the restarts here just are insane, crazy, 3 wide, 4 wide, swinging to the bottom of the track, swinging up the track, whatever you got to do to make up track position. It's a hornet's nest everywhere on this racetrack. Michigan is just insane. It's crazy. He was able to get up to 18th using some of those kind of things that you can do, but then falls back to 25th right before a caution. He got on, said, good restart. Not great after. And I think that sums it up well. They ended up staying out after this caution. They restarted 15th, and then very quickly there was another caution, which turned into a red flag. Alex Bowman, hard crash. Rear tires got in the air. He is okay, though. Very good news there. During the red flag, they just kind of had some strategy debates like, hey, if we come in and pit here, do we take 2 tires, 4 tires? Like, what do we want to do with the fuel situation? So, just had some discussions around the strategy. So, once it's yellow again, we see a lot of split strategies. We see some guys stay out. Some guys had already pitted that previous caution, and they stay out after that. And we see a bunch of other people pit. So SVG is one of the guys who pits. As I said, we got a lot of people staying out. They end up coming out of the pits basically last. They were in the 30s at this point, just the way things shuffled out. And so they decided, hey, fuel's the name of the game. We're already sitting back here in 31st, 32nd. Why not just come in, top it off on fuel, make sure we're good, have that little extra bit just in case we need it, and we'll drop 2 positions, restart 33rd. That's what they do. John Hunter Nemechek wrecked himself right in front of SVG, got a good view of it. Another caution. They stayed out. They restarted 28th. Lap 84, the car was a little bit worse in stage 2. SVG came over the radio complaining about the car the most in stage 2. Remember last week, stage 2 was their strength. They ran really well. They finished 13th. And then stage 3 is where things kind of fell apart in a sense. This week, stage 2, things didn't fall apart, but they ran much worse in stage 2 compared to stages 1 and 3. So stage 2 was kind of their, I hate to say disaster, it was their bad stage. But lap 84, he said he didn't have confidence in the car because of the rear. He was really loose. And then Shane Van Gisbergen and his Rookie of the Year rival, Riley Herbst. Ladies and gentlemen, they are having a thrilling Rookie of the Year battle for 33rd in the points at the moment. SVG does have a 7-point edge, though. And they got into it. Now, it wasn't aggressive. No one came on the radio screaming and shouting like what we saw with SVG and Kyle Busch last week. But SVG went to pass Herbst on the inside on the exit of 2. These cars, when they're like centimeters or even millimeters apart on the exit of a turn on an intermediate, like the inside car kind of just keeps on pushing up. And we've seen a lot of incidents with this generation of car where when that happens, the outside car gets kind of screwed and they get put in the position of lift or go in the wall. Well, Herbst had to lift, but SVG realized what was happening and he also lifted. So they both slow each other down a bunch. They lose a couple of positions. And then going into 3 and 4, it happens again. And they go from like battling for 26th to 33rd and 34th. So as I said, just the aerodynamics of the car, ill-handling car for SVG, like it just was a bad combination. And the Rookie of the Year contenders end up, I hate to say getting into it because once again, if there was any contact, it was minimal. It was common NASCAR contact. I went back and listened to Herbst's radio. He wasn't even upset about it. Like, it was nothing significant in terms of like, oh, he's going to pay you back next week. But it cost both of them 6-7 positions. 11 to go in stage 2. They're running 25th. They had rallied back, gained some spots, but SVG was talking about how he couldn't charge the entry. It was just too loose and whatnot. So 11 to go in the stage. They ended up pitting, restarting 22nd. Rough final laps of the stage, and they finished 22nd, or 27th. Apologies. Then in stage 3, he says that it's a completely different car, super loose, that they need changes. Then they go to pit during a caution. And, they leave the wrench in the car. You can't do that. You can't race with the wrench in the back of your car. So he stops it on pit road, backs it up. They take the wrench out. And while they're there, once again, they're kind of last in this situation. So they just go ahead and top it off. That's how the balance is. And SVG says, hey, the balance is good enough. And he emphasized it, and he said it like twice. At this point, they're 28th. 54 laps to go. SVG gets on the radio and says, hey, I got a vibration. I'm a little concerned about this. They're outside of that pit window, and Steven Duran's like, man, I need you to kind of keep going just a little bit longer, unless it's like, really bad. Then in that case, you got to pit. But then in the middle of that conversation, a caution comes out anyway, so they end up getting saved there. So really good timing for it. In terms of how the car felt, SVG said in the clean air, he was good. He felt really good about how the car handled and whatnot, but when he got in the dirty air, loose, tight, loose, a little bit of everything. And by the way, they were 27th at that point. They pit. They end up restarting in 25th. 49 to go is when this restart happens. He has a great restart. Gets up to 13th. Was having some great battles up there. As I said, made his way up through the field. He starts fading a little bit, like 16th, 17th, 18th. But then he's just kind of there in 17th and 18th. And then Brad Keselowski goes to push him down the back straight. Hits him at a weird angle, and SVG about loses it. Saves it, thankfully. No one crashes out of all of this, but SVG loses another couple of spots after that. With 37 to go, he's in 23rd. This is when my TV crashes, and I didn't see how he got to 18th. But he gets on the radio, says, good restart, just kept getting put in bad spots. Yeah, as I said, that's how the restarts sometimes go at Michigan. They were good to go on fuel. Other guys were questionable on fuel. They ended up passing 1 or 2 cars, I want to say, but then William Byron runs out of fuel. Carson Hocevar cuts a tire. Austin Cindric cuts a tire. They end up making a few spots on their own, and they end up finishing 18th. So, as I said, survival, the restarts, learning on the restarts, how chaotic they can be. Just running better at these ovals is their goal right now. An 18th place finish. If you told them that back in March when they were wrecking at Vegas, wrecking at Bristol, finishing poorly at Homestead, I think they would take this 18th. So things are starting to improve on the oval side of things, but next week are right turns. Mexico City. The F1 track, NASCAR will be running there. It's our first road course since the Circuit of the Americas back in March. I will be doing a full-blown Mexico preview later this week. I'm aiming for Thursday, if not Thursday, Friday. So look forward to that, I guess. We'll be making some picks and whatnot. But as for right now, that's all I got for tonight. got to get back to this live stream here. So, yeah, have a great rest of your day, night, or morning, wherever you are.